For a long time, I thought growth meant adding more to my life, more knowledge, more experiences, more achievements. It felt like accumulating pieces to complete a puzzle. But the expansion we're talking about, it's different. It's not about adding. It's about seeing what's already there, obscured by layers of what we've been told, what we've absorbed, what we've come to believe as absolute truth. Imagine, if you will, that you spent your entire life in a beautifully crafted house. Every room is familiar. Every window offers a known view. You've learned to navigate its corridors blindfolded, to anticipate the creaks of the floorboards. This house is your identity, your worldview, your comfort zone. It's safe. It's predictable. And yet sometimes you catch a glimpse of something beyond the familiar pain. A different light, a different shade of sky, and a quiet question arises. What if this house, magnificent as it is, isn't the only place to exist? We build these houses, brick by brick. Not always consciously. They're constructed from the stories we're told as children, the expectations placed upon us, the fears we inherit, the societal narratives that dictate what is normal or possible. These are the invisible threads, subtle but strong, weaving the fabric of our perceived reality. They tell us who we are, what we can achieve, what we deserve, and for a long time we don't even see the threads. We just experience the fabric, the limits it imposes, the patterns it dictates. The work of expanding consciousness begins not by tearing down the house, but by simply noticing the threads, by asking, who wove this particular thread? What purpose did it serve? And most importantly, does it still serve me now? It's a gentle inquiry, not a forceful demolition. It's an act of observation, of quiet discernment. You start to see that some of these threads were woven by hands that meant well, but perhaps didn't know a larger tapestry existed. Others might have been woven by fear or by the limitations of a different time, a different understanding. There's a profound liberation in realizing that the boundaries you've accepted as immutable are, in fact, permeable. That the stories you've internalized are not the only stories. This isn't about judgment of your past self or of those who shaped you. It's about compassionately acknowledging the journey and then choosing, consciously, where you wish to place your attention now. It's about recognizing that the discomfort you feel, that quiet sense of being too small, is actually the threads beginning to stretch, to loosen. It's the house itself subtly expanding, not because you're forcing it, but because the truth of your being is simply too vast to be contained by old blueprints. So, the first step in this remembering isn't about finding new answers, but about becoming aware of the questions you haven't dared to ask. It's about feeling the edges of your current understanding, not with fear, but with a gentle curiosity. It's about allowing yourself to sit with the feeling of, I don't know, for a little longer, to let go of the immediate need for certainty. Because in that space, in that quiet pause, where the old threads loosen, new possibilities begin to emerge. The subtle whispers of what lies beyond the known edges become clearer. And you begin to sense, not just intellectually, but deeply, that the house you inhabit is not a prison, but a temporary shelter. And just beyond its walls, the sky opens up, vast and limitless, just like you. We spoke of the invisible threads, the ones that weave the fabric of our perceived reality, shaping the very house of our being. And perhaps, as you listened, you began to feel some of them. A subtle pull here, a faint tension there. It's like living with a constant hum in the background that you only notice once the music stops. These threads aren't just external influences. They're deeply internalized, becoming the very echoes in the chambers of our own minds. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself repeating an old story about yourself? I'm not good enough. I'm too sensitive. I always fail at this. These aren't just thoughts. They are the strongest threads woven into the very architecture of your self-concept. They dictate your reactions, limit your choices, and often, without you even realizing it, determine the boundaries of your potential. They're not malicious, these echoes. They often started as protective mechanisms or as sincere attempts to make sense of a confusing world. But what once served as a guide can, over time, become a cage. The expansion isn't about silencing these echoes entirely. Not at first. It's about changing your relationship to them. It's about holding them gently without judgment and asking, is this echo still serving the truth of who I am now? It's a quiet, introspective process. It's about noticing the subtle contractions in your chest when an old story plays, the familiar tightening in your jaw when a limiting belief takes hold. Your body, your emotions, they are the most honest barometers, signaling where the threads are tight, where the fabric is restricting your natural flow. This is where the real work of gentle inquiry begins. It's not about fighting these threads or forcing them to disappear. That only gives them more power. Instead, it's about a soft, persistent questioning. When you hear the echo, instead of automatically believing it, you might just pause, acknowledge its presence, and then perhaps offer a different thought, a different possibility, even if it feels small or uncertain at first. Perhaps that was true then. But what if it's not true now? What if there's another way to see this? It's in these tiny, almost imperceptible moments of conscious choice that the threads begin to loosen. It's in the decision to respond differently to an old trigger, to offer yourself kindness instead of criticism, to allow a new perspective to simply exist without immediately dismissing it. These aren't grand gestures. They are the quiet, internal acts of rebellion against the confines of the familiar. Each time you choose to question an echo, to gently pull at a thread, you create a tiny bit of space. Not empty space, but space for new awareness to breathe, for a different truth to emerge. And what emerges in that space? Not a fully formed new identity, not yet, but a sense of openness, a quiet knowing that you are not defined by the echoes, nor by the threads. You are the awareness that observes them. You are the space in which they reside. And in that spaciousness, there is a profound sense of liberation. The house doesn't disappear, but its walls become less rigid, its windows wider, allowing more light, more possibility, more of you to flow freely. This expansion is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering the boundless, echoing silence from which all these stories and threads first arose. We've spoken of the quiet work of loosening threads, of gently questioning the echoes that reverberate within the chambers of our minds. This isn't a destructive act, but one of tender deconstruction, creating space. And in that space, something else begins to emerge. Not a new structure, not a replacement for the old echoes, but a quiet, almost imperceptible hum, a resonance that speaks a language beyond words, a language of pure connection. For so long, we are taught to see ourselves as separate, individual islands in a vast, indifferent ocean. Our struggles are ours alone, our joys are personal triumphs. We build bridges, yes, but always from one island to another, always maintaining the distinct boundaries. But what if those boundaries were always an illusion, a necessary construct for a certain stage of understanding? What if the expansion we seek isn't about building more bridges, but about realizing the ocean itself connects everything, that the very ground beneath each island is one continuous, unbroken seabed. When the internal noise of limiting belief softens, when the constant chatter of who I am and who I am not begins to quiet, you start to feel something else. It's a subtle shift, a softening of the edges of your perception. You might notice it in the way you look at a stranger on the street, and for a fleeting moment, feel a profound sense of shared humanity. Or in the way a piece of music moves you, not just intellectually, but deep in your core, connecting you to something ancient and universal. It's the recognition that the same life force that animates you animates everything else. This isn't about becoming one in some abstract, mystical sense. It's far more grounded, far more intimate. It's about feeling the invisible threads that truly bind us, not the ones we've constructed, but the ones inherent in existence itself. It's the subtle awareness that your pain isn't entirely yours, nor is your joy. They are echoes, too, but echoes of a larger symphony, vibrating through the collective. When you witness suffering, it resonates within you because you are not truly separate from it. When you witness beauty, it elevates you because you are an intrinsic part of its expression. This shift in perspective changes everything, yet often without fanfare. It means less judgment. Not because you're trying to be good, but because the impulse to judge simply loses its grip. When you see another human being, truly see them through the lens of shared existence, their struggles and their triumphs become less alien. Empathy flows more naturally, not as an effort, but as a recognition of self in another. The lines blur, not in a confusing way, but in a way that brings clarity, warmth, and a profound sense of belonging. The beauty of this unfolding is its gentleness. It doesn't demand grand pronouncements or sudden conversions. It's in the quiet moments, a deep breath taken in nature, a shared glance with an animal, the silent understanding between old friends. It's the realization that the expansion of consciousness isn't about becoming more extraordinary, but about recognizing the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's about feeling the pulse of life that runs through everything, including you, and allowing yourself to be carried by its current, rather than trying to swim against it or build walls to contain it. This is the unspoken language of connection. It doesn't need words or explanations or proof. It simply is. And the more you create space within yourself, the louder this quiet hum of interconnectedness becomes, guiding you not to a destination, but deeper into the heart of what it means to truly be alive, woven into the very fabric of existence. When you begin to feel that deep hum of interconnectedness, that unspoken language we discussed, something else starts to awaken within you. It's a different kind of sight, a different kind of knowing. For so long, we're conditioned to seek answers outside ourselves. We search for blueprints, for experts, for external validations that tell us we're on the right path, that we're doing it right. We look for signs in the world, often frantic, often desperate for certainty. But when the static of the old stories clears and the hum of connection deepens, a different kind of compass emerges. One that points not to a predetermined destination, but to the next gentle step. This inner compass isn't a booming voice dictating your every move. It's far more subtle, more like a soft pull in the direction of truth, a quiet resonance that feels inherently correct. It's the sensation of expansion in your chest when you consider a choice that aligns with your deepest self, or the subtle contraction when you lean towards something that feels misaligned. It's not about logic or analysis. It's about feeling. a profound, embodied sense of what is true for you in this moment. We often mistake this intuitive knowing for wishful thinking, or dismiss it as illogical. We've been taught to prioritize the rational mind, to dissect, to analyze, to prove. And while the mind is a magnificent tool, it is not the sole arbiter of truth. The expansion of consciousness invites us to integrate these different ways of knowing, to allow the quiet wisdom of the heart, the subtle nudges of intuition, to inform the clarity of the mind. It's a dance, not a competition, between what you think and what you feel. This is the art of allowing insights to surface without forcing them, allowing guidance to emerge without demanding it. It's like standing at the edge of a vast, calm lake. You don't try to force the ripples. You simply watch them appear, expand, and dissipate. In the same way, when you create inner space, when you listen to the echoes and feel the connections, insights arise naturally, like reflections on the water's surface. They are not manufactured. They are revealed. This doesn't mean life suddenly becomes effortless. The waves still come, challenges still arise, but your relationship to them changes profoundly. You're no longer a solitary figure battling the storm, trying to control every gust of wind or every surge of water. Instead, you begin to perceive yourself as part of the larger ocean, understanding its rhythms, trusting its depths, knowing that you are held within its immense current. The challenges become less about external battles and more about internal invitations. Invitations to listen more deeply, to trust more fully, to navigate with a wisdom that transcends circumstance. This trust isn't blind faith. It's a knowing born from experience, from the quiet observation of how things actually work when you stop resisting, when you lean into the subtle currents rather than fighting against them. You begin to notice synchronicities, moments where the outer world seems to align with your inner state, offering gentle affirmations of the path you're on. These aren't coincidences. They are the universe speaking the unspoken language of connection, responding to your expanded awareness. The true power of an expanded consciousness is not that you know more facts or acquire more information. It's that you become aware of a deeper knowing that has always been within you, waiting to be accessed. It's not about acquiring new skills, but remembering an innate capacity. The capacity to navigate not just with your mind, but with your entire being, with your heart, your intuition, your quiet inner compass. The world doesn't change around you, but your lens shifts, and with that shift, you begin to perceive a richness, a synchronicity, a profound intelligence woven into the fabric of everyday life that was always there, waiting for you to simply open your eyes a little wider and trust the gentle pull from within. We've journeyed through the quiet work of noticing the invisible threads, listening to the echoes, feeling the profound hum of connection, and learning to trust that gentle inner compass. This isn't a path to a finish line, but an invitation to a different way of being, a continuous unfolding. The expansion of consciousness isn't a state you arrive at and then simply inhabit forever, static and unchanging. It's a dynamic dance, a living process. Imagine a flower. It doesn't burst open all at once. It unfurls petal by petal, responding to the light, to the warmth, to the subtle shifts in its environment. Each unfurling is an expansion, a revelation of what was always held within the bud. In the same way, your consciousness expands not through forced effort, but through a gentle, persistent turning towards the light of your own awareness. It's in the quiet moments of presence, in the willingness to simply observe without judgment, in the choice to respond from a place of connection rather than reaction. This expanded state isn't about becoming immune to life's challenges. The storms will still gather, the shadows will still fall. But when you are rooted in that expanded awareness, when you operate from the spaciousness you've cultivated, your relationship to these experiences shifts. The waves still come, but you are no longer tossed about by them in the same way. You begin to understand that you are not just the boat on the surface, but the vast, deep ocean itself. You contain the storm, rather than being contained by it. It's in this unfolding that you truly begin to live, not just exist, but to deeply, vibrantly live, to savor the simple beauty of a quiet morning, to meet disappointment with a gentle understanding, to navigate uncertainty with a quiet trust. It's a return to your inherent nature, to the boundless wisdom and compassion that has always resided within you, often obscured but never truly lost. This isn't about grand pronouncements or achieving enlightenment. It's about the profound, sacred act of simply being more fully present, more fully you in every breath. And as you allow yourself to unfold, something remarkable happens. The light you carry naturally begins to illuminate the path for others, not through teaching or preaching, but through your very presence, your quiet strength, your gentle wisdom, your authentic way of being becomes an unspoken invitation for others to look within themselves. It's the ripple effect of a single stone dropped into a calm lake, extending outwards, touching everything in its path. This journey, this quiet expansion, is the most profound gift you can offer yourself, and in turn, the world. It's a remembering of your true essence, a coming home to the vastness that you are. And it's a journey that never truly ends, for there is always more to unfold, more light to reveal, more of yourself to remember. If these words have resonated with you, if they've sparked even a flicker of recognition within your own quiet spaces, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe to this channel so we can continue to explore these depths together, day by day, breath by breath. Share your reflections in the comments below. What stirred within you today? Perhaps suggest a topic for our next conversation, something that's been knocking at the edges of your own awareness. And if you feel this message could gently touch someone else, consider sharing it with 5 people who might need a quiet moment of reflection. Remember, the greatest discovery is not out there, but within. It's the unfolding of who you already are. Sound of gentle, ambient music slowly swells, then fades out completely after a few seconds of silence.